But I'm back on. This is Elizabeth with Dandelion Soap, and we're talking about system recovery. This can be after a long bout of sickness, or if you have come out of the hospital, or if you have had a long battery of antibiotics and taken different medications. In the meantime, let me go over this. Sometimes what happens is after you've been through a long bout of antibiotics, or if you've been through a long battery of sickness where you have just gotten sick and just keep getting sick, and you seem to keep, your body just can't seem to recoup and get well again. Sometimes that happens, and it's where the bacteria is still deep in the system, and it just cannot get out. And a lot of the viruses and sicknesses that float around now are repetitive about springing back on you. And at the same time, because the system's so weak, you can easily catch it from someone else. Like if you just come into contact or come in close proximity with someone, you seem to get a cold, a flu, or whatever's floating in the air. But let me get into it. The last video that I did, the last live feed that I did, I had a lady to contact me, and she has been dealing with sicknesses for quite a while. She's been in and out of the hospital. She's had many things happen to her. And since she came out of the hospital, things have been affecting her system. And she cannot get her energy back. She can't feel normal or feel better. And sometimes that's what happens. So if you are experiencing things like upset tummy, everything makes you nauseous, you just can't get to feeling better no matter what you do, this is something that you might benefit from. So basically what this is a recovery tea. Recovery tea is basically, it feeds and nutritions and boosts the system back up. It gets it back to optimum balance by putting vital nutrients, minerals, and vitamins back in the system. Now let me explain. A lot of people go, well, how is that? You know, I'm drinking, I'm eating, I'm doing all these right things that the doctor told me to do. Well, that's because sometimes what's happening, we were driving a NASCAR, and they put a special fuel in your tank, okay? But you also have a booster there where you can hit that button and boom, it's going to make you fly. I mean, like jet fly. Okay, so this is what's happening. Here's your system, okay? Here's your system, and you're feeding it, and you're giving it food and nutrition, and you're drinking right, and you're getting plenty of rest, and you're drinking water, and you're doing all these wonderful things and eating. Well, guess what? You still got to run that system. That car has still got to idle. And even if that car is idling without being in drive, it's drinking fuel, correct? Okay. So it's just sitting there and it's idling. So if you're being still and you're not doing anything, then food and nutrition is feeding the system. It's keeping it idle. So it's maintaining and it's steady and everything's doing fine. But a lot of times when we've been sick, we have to go back to work in a day or two. We come out of the hospital, we may or may not be out of work for the rest of that week, and then we're back to work. So what's happening? That speed up, right? And so guess what? It's going to burn up more fuel. It's not just sitting there idling anymore. It's going to burn up more fuel. So it needs more to keep going. So that's why that turbo booster or that nitro, when you kick it, you're going to fly and you're going to burn it all at one time, and you're burning it all so fast that the system cannot reimburse itself. It can't get its energy back. It can't refuel because you're still working, you're still running, you got the kids, you got the hubby, you got the house, you got all this stuff, plus the stress of the brain. The brain itself takes a lot of energy to keep this powered. Now, this brain is what is running all these systems, is keeping everything going, is telling the heart it's got to pump, it's telling the motor skills they've got to move your arm, your legs, even your little finger, every joint in your finger. That takes a lot of motor skills to make that one little finger move, to bend that hand. So if you're burning that system up, if you're burning up that fuel that you're putting in that system, then of course your food and your drink alone is just not efficient sometimes. And you need a little extra kick to get that system completely optimized so that it can maintain, so that if you're motoring along and you're speeding up, and there's times when stress is higher, there's stuff that has to be done and prioritizing, and that's what we naturally do. And sometimes we just feel like we can't get it all done. So what the recovery tea does is it kind of helps the system get re-optimized in the moment of it still processing information and still having to do all these tasks, along with your daily nutrition, with eating right, getting adequate rest, and at this time you may not even want to consider exercise because you're already burning so much of your body's fuel and running so many systems you can't get to feeling better. So a lot of times what happens, what I have found though, is a lot of people will come out of the hospital and they will think, oh, well, I need to detox and get all this gunk out of my system that the hospital pumped into it, all these medications and all these things. Well, really and truly, that is somehow, in an odd way, that is partially true. But sometimes we may be wanting to do that too quick, or, wanting to go at that too soon, and our body hasn't had time to let it go through its natural process and expel and rid and detoxify on its natural own. Because remember, all those systems are still working. The lymph nodes are open now. Everything's flowing free. The heart is pumping. The blood is going through our system. We're having to feed oxygen to our lungs and just many things. We're still using our brain fuel. So at that same time, the system is still trying to get back to normal and it's still burning all that stuff off. It's still using it. But remember, you sweat. You're constantly sweating. You're constantly salivating. Your eyes are watering and they have to stay moist. So there are many different ways that the fluids in our system are being used. But also remember that, so that you guys understand through my perspective, or the best way I know to explain it, your body is one great big huge filter. Okay? It's one great big huge, God forgive me, garbage disposal. That's what it does. Its entire job is to filter and dispose. Filter and dispose. Filter and dispose. And that's what it does. It constantly does that. And it does it the best. We are the superior being. God created us to be wonderful and great and unique. And we're all wonderful creatures and we're built uniquely. And that is why sometimes, just like when I make this recovery tea, that I have to custom make it based on your need, based on your medications, based on your health problems, or what it is your goal, what is it you're trying to do. So with that being said, let me give you some things that the recovery tea consists of. It has ginkgo. So ginkgo biloba is good for strengthening, and it's great for endurance and sustainability and stamina, long pace. Ginger also warms up the system. So if you are recovering from something, especially with antibiotics or anytime you've been in a hospital, a lot of times there's dampness in the system. It just can't get dried up. There's no fire. And what ginger does is it puts fire in the system and it kind of dries things up and gets the system re-warmed. Hawthorn berries is another thing that I use. Hawthorn, when you think of hawthorn, think of heart. Ball up your fist and think of your heart. Hawthorn is the heart herb. It is all about the heart. It will, hawthorn berries, hawthorn leaves, hawthorn flowers, anything hawthorn affects the heart. Lemon balm. Lemon balm is overall an antifungal, antibacterial. It feeds you and it strengthens you and it's really good for you. It is antiviral, antifungal. Now, it doesn't work like your antibacterial soap. Don't think of it like that where it's just like washing out all good bacteria. Lemon balm is antifungal. It basically identifies anything that's viral. Herpes simplex, where you have fever blisters of the mouth or mouth ulcers or, stomach, things of that nature. Think of lemon balm. It's really, really excellent for that. And it will just kill it off and heal it right away. Sometimes I put dandelion in the recovery tea, depending on what that person's need is. Dandelion, other than lemon balm, is probably like one of the most beneficial, nutritious herbs on the face of the earth. The thing is oat straw. Some people are familiar with oat straw, especially if you have horses or cattle or any kind of farm animals and things of that nature. And it kind of grows willingly too. I mean, it's a happy-go-lucky. They're really delicious and nutritious. They are full of omegas. Lots of omegas and vitamins and nutrients. But anyway, let's see what else we got here. It's hips, like my hips, H-I-P, rose hip. And 13 rose hips usually is about the amount. If they're the average size, which is have more vitamin C, you heard me correctly, vitamin C, 13 rose hips house more vitamin C than an entire bushel of oranges. It is true. They are full of vitamin C. Now here's something that the special ingredient that I'm actually going to be putting in this particular customer's tea is licorice root. Now let me explain, guys. Licorice root looks like a tree branch, okay? It's not like licorice you eat, not like the candy, okay? Don't confuse it. Licorice root is it is actually a tree. They are 50, right, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times sweeter than any other sweetening source. Well, licorice root is going to give a natural sweetener, but also what it does is it feeds the adrenal glands. So your adrenal glands sit atop of your kidneys, okay? And that is really where a lot of your energy and keeping your system powered comes from. So that the licorice root can actually, just like that, fill up those adrenal glands. Can you believe that? Just boom, like that, replenish you with energy. Anyway, I hope that I've helped everybody. I'm going to finish doing this recovery tea for my customers so that when she arrives, I'll be able to go over everything with it. But it's just one of the things that Dandelion offers here on a custom basis. I can make anything, but usually the recovery tea, I don't make that unless it's by request. And here's another thing. The recovery tea actually tastes good, guys. It is not a yucky. It has all these wonderful herbs in it. A lot of them have their own natural sweetness, so to speak, when it comes to the body, how the body digests them and how the body registers them and understands them. And they're just super delicious, and it makes you feel better. If you do smoothies, if you do shakes, or you just like an herbal tea once in a while in the midst of all the other. And it's a great thing that you can use versus drinking soft drinks. The recovery tea is a nice alternative. There are other herbal teas that you can do on a regular basis that I make here at Dandelion and carry. And so if you want to check out the website, it's simply if you want to go to the website, it's dandelionsoap.com, just that simple. DANDELION soap.com, all one word, dandelionsoap.com. And you can check it out. And through Instagram, you can DM me. The website, you can actually, there's a contact page, and it actually fires a message right to me, almost like a text message as soon as you put any kind of request or anything on there. And if you'd like to be part of the emails, you can submit your email. When you first go on the website, it'll pop up. It'll say, holler at me. You key in your email address, and I send you newsletters and updates. I do not sell your contact information, God. No. I have been doing this 17 years, guys. And in 17 years, I have not ever even let it phantom my brain to dare give out anybody's information. That is private. It's between you and me. Is our disclosure. But when I do send a newsletter, it will go straight to your email. And you can always unsubscribe from the email if you don't want to get any more. Thank you so much for all your love and your support and keeping Dandelion going all these years. I mean, 17 years is hard. And there's a lot involved. I am everything here. I am the whole one-man band. And so I appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram. Chris, just wonder if I've got anything that you can benefit from. Check me out. So thank you again for joining me. You guys have a great day. I'm going to get to work, and I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming on. Bye. Mwah. Dandelion loves you.